There were four major interrelated problems that governed New York City's attempts to keep the streets clean throughout the 19th century. The first issue was that there existed a continual argument between citizens and the government over who should be responsible for keeping the streets clean. Most of the citizens of New York City did not follow the laws that required them to clean in front of their homes, refrain from littering, and dispose of their waste in a proper fashion. Over time, the city took over these responsibilities for its citizens. However, this responsibility made the city a large target for public criticism and anger over the sanitary status of the streets. Politics within the municipal government regarding sanitation posed another obstacle to cleaning New York City streets. Most of the citizens did not care about how they themselves took care of the streets, and, as a result, politicians cared very little as well. Private investments and corruption were major issues that infiltrated 19th century politics in New York City, and these issues became the primary focus of the government rather than providing effective government services to the city's citizens. The New York City politicians formed a habit of hiring their friends and associates to carry out street cleaning services while providing them with very high-paying contracts. As a result, individuals were hardly ever hired to oversee street cleaning based on their experience, sanitary knowledge, or managerial abilities. Additionally, they were rarely kept employed from one mayoral administration to the next. These factors made it nearly impossible to enact change and make any progress towards a more sanitary city. Solid waste management in New York City was highly disjointed, creating a third problem to keeping the streets clean. Responsibility for cleaning streets, collecting waste, and disposing of waste frequently shifted back and forth between citizens and the government, creating division between how and when these tasks were performed. Initially, citizens were expected to clean the streets in front of their own homes. However, as New York City's population grew and the city developed, the municipal government and private contractors began to take over this task. In the beginning of this effort towards more sanitary streets, collection of street sweepings and waste products was carried out by cartmen, who picked up the materials and took them away on one-horse carts. Later, the city's government and its hired contractors began to perform these tasks, and they dumped the waste into the harbor. The processes of cleaning the streets, collecting the waste, and disposing of the waste were hardly ever done at the same time by the same corporation or agency. To further complicate the issues, the municipal authorities were not responsible for most of the waste and garbage produced in New York City. Typically, private contractors gathered and disposed of commercial waste, while the city collected and got rid of residential waste. Due to this lack of centralization in the city's waste management system, it was difficult to coordinate the responsibilities of public and private sectors, and holding these two groups accountable was nearly an impossible task. The final sanitation issue in New York City stemmed from the immensity of the transportation infrastructure. Streets consisting of smooth and uniform pavement were necessary in order to have clean streets. However, these conditions were rarely found in the city. The first report of the Department of Street Cleaning for the years 1882 to 1888 documented that there were approximately 575 miles of roadways in New York City. 31% were dirt, which required no regular sweeping. 12% were made of broken stone and cleaned by the Department of Public Works and Parks. The rest of the streets were made with trap blocks, granite blocks, cobblestone, asphalt, or wood. By 1907, there were 1.8 miles of paved streets in New York City. However, they consisted of 12 different kinds of services. Although horse-drawn automatic street sweeping machines were put into use in the middle of the 19th century, hand cleaning of the streets was still a much more efficient and cost-effective way to clean the many different street surfaces. These conditions remained primarily unchanged until after World War II, when asphalt pavement became uniform throughout the city, which could be cleaned on a large scale by machines.